Welcome to PV Magazine Live. This is Christian Roseland, America's editor at PV Magazine, and we're here at the AEE Solar Dealer Conference in San Diego. We've been talking to AEE Solar and their dealers and installers about some of the issues facing them in the American solar market. This is a particularly exciting time for the United States, given that the investment tax credit has recently been extended. However, if anything, this has shifted the policy battlefield more than ever to net metering at the state level. So we're going to talk with some of the installers and dealers about the issues that they face in their businesses, including not only policy, but also some of the market segments and areas that have been less explored. Can you comment about where you see the state of the current national conversation on net metering?
Yeah, sure. So, maybe as background, it was 3 years ago that the Edison Electric Institute identified rooftop solar as the greatest threat to their growth, and went on a national campaign to end net metering. And the talking point, was that there's a cost shift, but actually the four independent studies that regulators have ordered since then, have all showed that net metering at these penetration levels is a net benefit to the grid. So, we've had probably 40 pitched battles over net metering the last 3 years. We've won about 38 of those 40. There are really two key reasons that's the case. The first is that the independent studies have shown solar as a benefit to the grid, and the second is that rooftop solar is enormously popular. So, even in Arizona, if we survey only Republicans, 75% of them say they're materially less likely to vote for a candidate who acts to end rooftop solar. So those have been kind of the two key reasons that I think we've been doing very well. But certainly now with the extension of the ITC, which I think honestly caught the utilities off guard. I don't think they thought it was going to happen. We're seeing a continued push to try to restrict net metering. But again, feel very good that we have the facts and the politics on our side.
We expect the U.S. market this year to grow significantly. Actually, despite the news that we had on the ITC, which were actually for us very positive news, as you can imagine. What this is going to do this year is maybe slow down a little bit the anticipated growth that we originally forecasted. Because, of course, as you can imagine, we're not going to have that rush of projects coming in maybe from 2017 into 2016. Having said that, we still foresee a very strong solar market this year. And we count on taking a good share of that.
With the ITC and the favorable NIM agreement right now, it pays off in 5 years. Their payments for the system are lower than their current PG&E bills. So I see that they understand the math now, and they like having the option.
I see, definitely. Now, you work in residential and commercial and also in some agricultural, you do some agricultural work. Can you tell me about the agricultural market segment for solar and why this is an exciting market segment for you to work in?
Well, because of where I live in Northern California, a Chico-based company, we're surrounded by orchards, rice lands, farmlands of all kinds, and that's who's out there. And all of these farms and ranches need water right now, and they're pumping it from the ground. And so we might have one ranch that's looking at going solar, and now with the aggregation opportunities, we can offset 5 or 6 different wells on a ranch and put one central located array, and it with the rapid depreciation, possibility of USDA REAP grants and the ITC, these systems pay off in sometimes 4 years. So it makes a lot of sense.
One of the big topics here at the AEE Solar Dealer Conference is the small but growing residential energy storage market in the United States. This is particularly an issue for Hawaii, where new regulations are pushing the market towards mandatory battery storage. Obviously, the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission shut down net metering. Can you, in broad strokes, describe the two successor programs?
So the net energy metering program was a great program for our customers. Unfortunately, it has ended. Allowed the customers to use the grid as a giant battery, and now they're having to look at it from a completely different standpoint economically. And you have the customer grid supply option, which does allow the customer to export to the grid, but it is capped. So very soon here, we're going to have to look at the customer self-supply being the main program moving forward, which is really going to have to include batteries to make sense.
Right. Now, when we say self-supply, I guess for Europeans, they would say self-consumption. This is something that hasn't really been broadly a main feature of U.S. solar markets to date. Can you describe what the market looks like for installers like yourself under this new self-consumption program?
Well, before we were allowed to kind of be much more, it was a much easier market to sell in because with the net energy metering program, allowed the flexibility for our systems to work for a much wider range of customers, basically offering a very similar product. Now, it's much more specific. It's very similar to a fine tailored suit where we have to take a very close look at what the customer's usage profile is and what it's going to be in the very near future, having to design a system that's going to be able to suit their needs.
We're seeing a lot of changes in this space. So, Hawaii obviously is a big issue for us. Sunrun, which we're part of, is very active down there. And you basically have to have storage in Hawaii now. And what we want to do is be at the forefront of that change as it comes to the mainland. We'll see more and more markets require batteries, require self-consumption, have demand charges, have time of use rates, all the drivers that make a battery system interesting for people. Those are coming, and we want to be in front of it.
Now, obviously, we're looking at these being basically mandatory under certain policies in Hawaii, but what other state markets are you seeing batteries start to take off in, and what are the drivers?
So one common misunderstanding is, AEE has done battery systems for 35, 40 years now. We did battery systems, for 20 years before you could do grid tie. Grid tie inverters weren't even invented until 97 and weren't UL-listed until 99. So before that, it was all batteries, all off grid, and that's the background that we come from. So we see batteries coming into the grid tie space. We're like, great, that's a natural extension of our business, and I think we as a company and as a group of individuals who've been in the industry a while have something to offer people, from that background, and bring grid tie folks. Hey, here's batteries. Here's all the great things batteries can do.
Thank you for joining us for our coverage of the AEE Solar Dealer Conference in San Diego. This is Christian Roseland, and you have been watching PV Magazine Live.